Hello, everyone. This is I'm gonna get this right, episode 7 of SKYLINE. I'm double checking to make sure I'm correct. I did this last time too, and I'm gonna feel real. It is episode 7. I was right a second time. I just need to trust my gut on what episode number it is. And I'm joined today by my good friend, Andrew. Feel free to introduce yourself however you want to.
Hello, uh, I'm Andrew. Been a friend of Matt's for I've lost track of the
Yeah, I was gonna
years.
say it's been a long time.
Uh, and just always happy to talk and hang out with him.
Yeah, and we just hanged out the other day. We hanged out in a garage, social distanced and all that, and I mean we talked
Yeah.
about a lot of fun things there. But I think one of the highlights for me, which might be just a fun thing to start off talking about, was there's a myth or a legend that Crown Royal bottles are unbreakable,
Oh, yes.
and we proved that very wrong.
Again, truthfully, I think it was just the way it
It
landed.
landed. So you think so? Your theory is that they are pretty hard to break. We just kind of hit that golden spot to
Yeah,
make
I
it break.
think yes, I do. I think that they are much more difficult to break than that.
Hmm.
Um, I also don't know if it's just the normal crown bottle or if it's like every crown bottle.
That is also a good question. The video I remember seeing, I don't know if you've seen it, it's just a guy throwing it up and it lands and doesn't break. And he does it a few times until it does eventually break. But
Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen a video similar to it. I don't know if it's the same one you saw.
yeah. But I guess it's
But
up there with just the things that are supposedly unbreakable, right? But
well, again, I truthfully think it was just the way it landed was just
yeah,
enough to shadow it on the
to
first go.
shatter it
But
on the first go, yeah.
who
And
knows until we try again.
that might actually be a fun thing, a fun question, because I've maybe wondered this. I don't know if you have an answer to it. But of all my friends, and of course, in terms of people I grew up with, you, Josh, and then later like Will and Nina and
John and
John,
Nina,
yeah, like
yeah.
all those people that really I
Cody.
grew. Cody, of course, um, people I grew up with. Um, you get to know them really well, and one of the things, but sometimes you don't get to know why, and maybe you don't know why, but something I'd be interested to know. Andrew, you are and this might hopefully this isn't you don't feel this is mischaracterization, but you're more on the adventurous side of things. You sometimes do things how some people would maybe view
Yes.
recklessly.
Well, I do recklessly safe things.
Yes, that's why I was kind of saying like some people would view recklessly because when someone's known you long enough, we know that like you know what you're doing.
I have a solid idea
You have a
most of the
solid
time.
idea. You have a
Half
theory, yeah.
ish of the time. Um,
But I guess I was wondering like what got you into like parkour might be a good example because to a lot of people parkour is one of those dangerous looking running around
yeah,
things, but you've had a tendency to do those things even before your interest in parkour. What sort of led you down that road of scaring people by jumping off things or on things and um
I just don't think because whenever you're children, elementary school, until you
yeah.
get to like sixth grade, from like up until like fifth grade, you have this massive. Most people have this massive playground at the school, just a playground at the school that encourages climbing and getting over things and on top of things and through things however you can.
yeah.
And then whenever you hit junior high, you're told, well, stop doing that.
You're not
Whenever
wrong.
I hit junior high and someone said that, I was like, why? I
Why?
mean,
I'm
that's why, we
mhm.
went to Castle Park throughout junior high and Ferncliff and stuff like that. It was like, why?
Yeah.
Why do we, why do we stop doing that?
Why can't
Obviously, there's a
yeah,
time and place appropriate for that, but
for
why
sure.
just stop altogether?
That's
Um,
a really insightful point because you see a playground for the most part you go, oh, it's for kids,
exactly.
but
And now some you see are for like toddlers and stuff like that, but you
yeah.
see a playground, you're like, bet you that slide's super fun to go down. And you're like, eh, probably is.
Mm-hmm. Like
Uh,
the playgrounds, they're at least common where we are. Well, they'll have like the frog slides or whatever, where it's three
mm-hmm.
different slides. You have the middle one and
Yeah.
the two sides. Those are still wild to go down, even
Mm-hmm.
when you're older. They'll really
Uh,
throw you.
so yeah, so I was like, I don't know why you're telling me to stop. But obviously, there's a time and place appropriate for it. Like, I'm not gonna do it
Yeah.
like if you go to a church, there's a playground. I'm not gonna go play on it Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. That's a different topic altogether. But
Yeah.
Sunday morning, there's a time and place for it. And then, I mean, once I kind of hit, I'm trying to think of what got me into parkour. Because everybody does parkour at a young age. Parkour is just getting from one place to another without going around things.
Yeah.
But parkour is going to one place to another with losing as little momentum as possible. So as a kid, instead of going around the playground to get to your parents whenever they called you, you always went through the playground down the slide.
Yeah. That's true.
Your parents never called you and you walked around the playground. You always got that one last little run through. Um,
I mean,
and it's just
yeah. Go ahead.
something that kind of kept up with, especially I think going to hiking from cliff and places like that a lot really did help because I was like, I want to get up there.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And just kind of stuck until high school. I'm trying to even remember the first video I watched was from a YouTube channel. I don't even know if they're still around anymore.
Yeah.
Called the Tap Brothers. Um,
Yeah.
and they were just people who's like parkour for beginners. I think it just popped up in my YouTube feed one time, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I think Assassin's Creed really got me into it.
Mm.
Honestly, now thinking, I think Assassin's Creed has really got me interested, going from building to building and place to place and over and through.
Yeah. Climb
Um,
like games where you are just like bouncing around, climbing around.
yeah,
Not even
the game
bouncing,
that
but
sticks
climbing.
out the most though has to be like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was like the first game that I was really like, I want to be able to do that. And then you know popped up in my
Well,
YouTube feed and
yeah.
just kind of
Well,
kept going at it.
I think you hit a really crucial chord there because like a very human chord because you were saying like we all used to do that, jump around the playground. I mean, to varying
Mm-hmm.
degrees, right? Every kid has a bit of a different energy level, but
Yep.
and your thing, and I guess a lot of parkour people's things also kind of have to be why stop doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Why stop doing monkey bars or jumping around or you
Yeah.
know all that sort of thing?
I mean, you see some parkour videos, and it can go horribly wrong if you don't do it safe or if
Mm-hmm.
any number of circumstances. You see the horrible parkour fails, which also see the videos of parkour, like these massive tricks.
Yeah,
Well, parkour is just getting from one place to another using as little momentum as
yeah,
possible. I mean,
and in a way, you could kind of say it's just the progression of what you used to do on the playground with parental supervision. It's just progression of like, all right, monkey bars,
yeah.
jumping from thing to thing,
I mean,
swings, like
you probably even did it too. You did the monkey buzz. You did
yeah,
every single one. As you got better at it, you skipped one or two or
yes,
tried to skip three. That's
exactly.
just, I mean, that's progression.
See how
You
fast you
went
can go
from
down the slides, or
exactly, yep.
yep,
If I get a running start and slide down, do I go faster?
or shoot when you're like kids and you like chase each other around the playground, like try to or a
Mm-hmm.
tag, games like that where you're
Mm-hmm.
literally trying to lose as little momentum as possible running through the playground.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, everybody does it. Almost everybody does at least somewhat if they're able to. Again, people see parkour videos of these awesome stunts and
mhm.
stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's an aspect once you get good enough or feel comfortable enough.
Yeah,
But
but the basic idea is
no,
just not losing momentum.
losing momentum one place to the other as quick, efficient, and easy as possible for
Mhm.
you. Now, the way for me may be entirely different for you,
Yeah,
or if you're at a higher or lower level.
and I mean, I imagine things like height and
Mm-hmm.
um,
Height,
just
weight.
hand size, foot size. I mean, a lot of variables.
I don't know if that much all
matters.
that goes in.
Yeah, fair. That is fair.
I'm sure it does obviously go into it, but I don't think hand and foot size matter all too much. More so less as in like your foot structure. Like, can you balance? 'Cause some people have too low or too high of arches where they can't
Gotcha.
physically and feasibly balance.
Hmm.
So more so less
They have to
foot
get those shoes that like.
structure and stability.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, a lot. I mean, yeah, I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
really just like as I just said. I don't want to stop. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy this. This is fun. It's
I mean, were people like seeing you in like let's say junior high or high school jumping around still and going, you shouldn't be doing that or stop
yeah.
doing
I
that?
mean, I don't think my parents did whenever we went to like perks and stuff. Once like we hit like Fun Cliff, it was just like very few times was it a no. They were just like be careful or are you sure?
Yeah.
Um,
I know us as a friend group, we've had a progression where I know there was a time, especially me, I tend to be a more cautious individual, would be like, oh, are you sure? But over
yeah.
time, it's just become, no,
Mhm.
Andrew's got, because we've seen you do it enough times at this point. We're like, nah, he's got this.
Yeah. A big thing about parkour is trusting your body. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I heard this and I don't know where I've heard this, but I find it entirely accurate. Parkour is like 60% mental.
Yeah. We've talked about this a
Uh,
lot because of
yeah,
obviously
they
me being a
even
psych major. I'm all into that, you know?
yeah, like parkour is 60% mental. Like you, you can skip 1 to 2 steps going up and down stairs,
Mm-hmm.
or you can jump from the third step up or second step up and be fine because it's stairs.
Yeah.
You go out to let's say a place, a fun cliff for the people listening who don't know is like it's a hiking uh outdoor area with a bunch of trails and lakes and waterfalls and stuff you can
Yeah.
hike. You go there or go to a place similar to that and you have a stone that's a step, or you have to skip a step, like it's technically skipping a step to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh no, I can't do that, that's too far. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's just a step or a stride
Mm-hmm.
or
But the
a
fact that
little
there's this
bunny
like
hop.
gaping hole between.
But the fact that now is you're in an unfamiliar place and you've seen movies and videos of these feats of fails of
And
things, and your mind just goes.
And I think you're right. I don't think people trust their bodies as much. Or I don't think there's a lot of people out there who have that. Like I know I compared to you, I certainly don't trust my body to the degree
It
you
was
do.
a big thing to it was a massive thing for me to learn starting
Mhm.
parkour. Was I know I can do that. Like
Yeah.
you've seen me do some uh
Pretty wild things.
lines and tricks. You gotta build up to it. You
Hmm.
can't just you before you do a trick, you have to have no shadow of a doubt during it.
Yeah, you have to have
From the
zero doubt.
time
Yeah.
from the time you start your progression, start your run up into it, to the time you finish, you can have no doubt. Now, before and after,
Hmm.
have all the doubt you want, but as soon as you start, you can have no shadow of a doubt. You gotta have complete trust that, oh, I'm gonna launch
Mm.
myself over this edge and trust that I have enough confidence in me that I'm going to land, cross this 12-foot gap to a ledge 7 feet away.
Yeah.
And if you don't believe that,
Yeah.
from the time you lift off, you're going to mess up your jump or your landing or
Mhm.
something.
And I think that's at least like I mean obviously you haven't had this ability to trust your body your whole life. I think you've probably more than your average person throughout your life.
Yeah,
But
I've never not fully trusted
yeah.
my body.
But it is something I think is very admirable or something I think about as like an admirable quality of you of like you will just do something and I'll look at it and go Oh, whew, I don't know if I could do that. Um,
Yeah.
and the reality is like, no, probably not right now. Could I do it? But
Hmm.
it's not impossible for anyone to do the things you do. It's just you love doing it, A, and
Hmm.
you trust your body and you practice and you do it.
Yeah. In my time of doing parkour,
Mm-hmm.
actively doing parkour, going out, finding spots to train at,
Yeah.
I don't want to say train because it feels like a weird word to say.
Yeah.
'Cause I myself am self slash YouTube taught.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but I have helped for people
Mm-hmm.
uh, kind of get started in it. Um, and
Yeah.
that's usually the hardest thing to learn is like, you've done this your entire life without actually thinking about it.
Yeah.
But now that you look at it, you're thinking, and you're like, oh, your brain's saying, hey, self preservation,
Mm-hmm.
don't do it. And you
Because
got to be
yeah,
like, well, hey, we'll be just fine.
yeah,
We've done it before.
it's because like you said, like when we see an unfamiliar thing, like say
Mm-hmm.
you're used to walking upstairs, but like walking across a crack in the ground that actually like goes down,
Mm-hmm.
we're not used to that, and so we kind of freeze up a bit. Because I think I get this more when we go to oh, what's it called, Garden of the
Garden.
Gods. Because I think Garden of the Gods just has a few more of those like big cracks in between moments.
Oh, yeah. Garden of the Gods also has, it's just, the place we go is essentially one large bluff.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
and a lot of those things are intimidating, but I mean, watching you helps a lot. Like I feel like watching you gives me like the courage to go,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can like walk across this or jump across this. Um, but you're 100% right. It's all mental. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you have doubt, I mean, hopefully you don't still jump if you have doubts. I think most
No, yeah.
people, if they have a lot of doubts, will go, I'll go around, and I'll
Or
do
I'll
that too,
find another way.
or I'll find another way. Yeah. Um, but I think having you around on those times is helpful because you'll be like, because I not only do I trust you to be able to do things, I trust you to know what I can do.
Yeah.
At least to a degree, right? I trust you to be able to be like, no, you could do that, like no problem.
Yeah, I have a certain, especially with you and Josh and stuff, that's usually why when we go there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm usually at God of the Gods, I'm usually the first one across a gap or something.
Yeah.
So that way, one, if you need help, I'm there to be like, hey, I'll offer you a hand or an arm, or I can be like, it's just a stride.
Yeah.
It looks so much further and so much scarier. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
a quarter or like three quarters of your normal stride.
Yeah.
Um, or if you choose not to, I've done this multiple times at those places where I'm like, with the doubt, I'm like, yeah, I'm not making that, and I will just find another way around
Mm-hmm.
because you want to be safe while
Yeah.
doing this. I also don't
Yeah.
do parkour with height
Yeah.
without someone there
Mm.
to be safe. So if something does go wrong or I injure myself or something,
Well, and I think that's the difference between not having doubt over the things you can do that you know for a fact you can do and reasonably understanding like that's probably not a good idea. I think there's a difference in those, right? um, for sure. And um, something that I think is beautiful about what you've been saying, and not to get too philosophical about it, but like you talk about it looks scarier than it is, trust in your trust that you can do it in your body, it's just a stride. I mean, I think that is applicable not just to crossing a crack in the ground or crossing rock to rock, Garden of the Gods. It's like applicable to life too.
oh yeah, uh I've used that
That like
in
parkour
life with
element, yeah,
decisions for multiple things. I've used
yeah.
the training that I've done for parkour to make decisions in my life like, oh, that does not look like I could do that. And it's like, well,
Yeah,
why not?
why
Why
not?
can't you?
Yeah,
What is preventing you? Is it too far, or is your mind widening it to the point of it's too far? When you do it, it's like, oh, that was like
Mm-hmm.
a small little bunny jump, and my mind made it seem like a million miles across, too high to reach.
And
Um,
I think that's the case with a lot of things.
hmm
Like,
I've used it. I
yeah.
use the parkour training I've done for it
Mm-hmm.
in almost everyday decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I I think you have, I mean, you've always had a level of confidence, but I can tell, I think, that since you've been really delving into parkour and just running around in your neighborhood, even like just doing this stuff, I mean, I mean, not to draw, well, maybe I'm drawing a compare, like how improv for me developed a
hmm
sense of confidence. I think a different
I've
kind of
noticed
confidence
that
for
with
sure.
you. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
noticed that with you though. You're more
yeah, and
um, adept and attuned to one, not just getting up and talking, but the quality and amount of conversation that you have.
yeah, it's more what improv has developed in me is a confidence in speech, like a confidence in
hmm
talking. But for you, like, and of course that translates to confidence in other regions. Like it's not just, oh, I'm
Of
just,
course,
yeah.
yeah,
And
entirely.
that's what I've noticed in you, I think. Is that ever since you've been really doing this parkour stuff, like there's an element of like certainty and confidence in not only your body, but also yourself. Like it translates to other, like you've been saying, it translates to other parts of your life too.
hmm
Um, and that just makes you think like, shoot, people need to find something that will give them confidence. Like,
Something to help their own personal growth.
yeah, for sure.
Even if they don't think it's tied to their own personal growth,
Mhm.
anything you do to benefit yourself will cause personal growth.
Yeah, anything that develops a skill or puts you out there, like puts you in a situation where you're like, ooh, can I do that?
Makes you
Um,
stop and think and be like, okay, now let's
yeah,
problem solve, folks.
like I feel like I talk about improv all the time, but it's something I'm involved in. But it's
Oh
sort of
yeah.
that similar thing where like with parkour, you're able to do it enough times and you're able to go, I know how far I can jump. I know my sort of body's abilities at its current moment. And with improv in the same way, I don't have the same doubts I think some people have about like, oh, how funny am I? I know about how funny I can be. I know about like I ain't no professional improv person or comedian. You know, it's sort of like a confidence boost in knowing that I'm not like the funniest person in the world. I know that for sure.
hmm
Like 100%. But I know how funny I am. And
Yeah.
there's a confidence that comes with that because there's no doubt in it. You know what you're capable of doing. Um, and I think parkour is the same way in the sense of you know what your body's capable of. And you might stretch it a bit. You might go, ooh, let's see if I can't land this, right? But
Yeah.
like you said, the moment you start doing it,
Progression.
you can't, yeah, it's progression. You can't have any doubt.
hmm
And it's the same with improv. Once you're out, once you're off starting a scene, you just got to go with it.
Go
Um,
where the punches lead you and hope you're
exactly.
still standing in the end.
No, that's for sure. Um, man, and I, yeah, that's just great. I'm glad. Shoot, I didn't think asking you like why do you run around and do things that some people go
hmm
at when you do would lead to this, but yeah, I
Yeah.
it's confidence and I don't know. I've noticed you've become more confident in yourself in general, um, but I think that about most of our friends.
I
They've
think college has helped everybody in our group with that.
yeah. Who knows? It might just be growing up. I don't know. Maybe I'm
Well, I'm
confusing
sure it
confidence
has an
growing up.
aspect with it,
Yeah.
but um, growing up should hopefully, when you grow up, confidence comes
Yeah.
to that.
It might just be we're no longer teenagers too. There might be a lot of elements to this. I don't know.
We're no longer living at home
Mm-hmm.
constantly.
Yeah, we're no longer in high school. I think college, like in general, but like that's not to take away from
Oh
parkour's
yeah.
influences or
Mm-hmm.
improv's influences or anything, but
Oh yeah.
because those are things we've done in college, so
Yep.
um, or even after college because you've graduated, obviously. Um,
Yeah. So weird.
It is weird. You're the first of us to really kind of be out doing your thing.
I'm about
Um,
to really be doing my thing
yeah,
here soon.
yeah. Andrew
Oh
is
yeah,
has
yeah.
joined slash is joining the. I mean, he is in the Air Force. He
Yeah.
just hasn't been.
I
Yeah,
I technically joined the Air Force last month.
yeah.
I entered in the delayed entry program,
Hmm.
and then just a couple days ago, I got basic my basic training date for when I start and swearing for active duty,
Yeah,
which is February 2nd.
yeah.
It's coming up.
It is coming up real soon, and you're being involved in making sure weather's good
Yeah,
for.
weather and air traffic control
Yeah.
type scenario.
Hmm.
I don't fully know
The details of it yet.
the details or the whole job or anything like that,
Hmm.
just for the sole purpose of
You got
I
to
don't
get
remember
trained for that,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Well, I don't remember exactly what my recruiter told me either.
Fair. Because it
I
was
don't
like
know the
number 7 on
exact.
your list, wasn't it? It was like.
It was like yeah, number like I think 7 on my list of like jobs I wanted.
Yeah.
Um,
But you still happy that you have that one, or still content
oh
with it,
yeah,
or yeah.
oh yeah. I was asked when I got this, "Are you sad you didn't get 1 through 6 or whatever?" And I was like, "Not really. Uh, why I would have enjoyed any of those jobs that I had, any of those jobs I
Hmm.
chose. Um, I'm glad to finally have one. I've been waiting now for
A long time.
a while
Yeah.
to officially be able to go to basic and have a job in it and actually, get started.
Hmm.
Um,
No, that's got to be good.
so it's like I've been asked by like 4 or 5 people like, "Oh, you said you didn't get your number one." And it's like, no,
No.
honestly, not really.
Yeah.
Again, I would have loved to have any of
Any of
those
the others
jobs,
too, sure, but you're not upset or
but I'm
discontent with.
glad to have one. I'm glad
Yeah,
to be in it and have one.
for sure.
I didn't join the Air Force because I wanted,
A
to join
specific
the Air
job.
Force for a specific job. It's like I joined the Air Force because I wanted to join.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think that's pretty awesome. And uh, of course, as I've said many times, selfishly, I feel like family and friends are when it comes to that stuff. We're like, we'd rather have you around all the time still.
Yeah.
But it's not like
Yeah.
you won't be around. I mean, we have things like Discord and stuff.
Hmm.
I mean, during basic, you will be
Yeah.
poofed out
No.
of existence for a bit. You will be
I will.
gone.
Yeah. I don't know.
But
I don't know one if I will have access to my phone for like a day, because if I don't know if I'll have access to my phone at all, and if I do, it might be for like
yeah,
10 minutes on one day where I could like
particularly with basic.
text parents or yeah,
Yeah.
particularly with basic text parents or send something like, "Hey, I'm
Mhm.
still here. We still living.
Yep.
We'll be doing just fine." Uh, just kind of a checkup, like, "Hey, this is what changed last. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Or hear some stories, or your family will tell you like, "Oh, here's what's happened." Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
Um,
Any major news updates." Also, people will be able to write letters to me,
yeah.
which I do plan on giving to like you and Josh,
Yeah.
at least your mom and dad, Josh's mom and dad, and then they
Hmm.
can pass it on to you,
For sure.
to be like um,
How to send letters to you, and
yeah,
what
how to
can be
send
said in
letters,
them, and yeah.
the address, what can be said, what can be sent, things like that.
Hmm. For sure. And I mean, it's exciting stuff, and um, I know I'm happy for you that you finally got in, because I know you've been what it's been like. Oh, it's felt like a whole year
Yeah. Well,
since you've at least
since
started the
I
process.
officially started the process, it's been I started the process officially, like said yes, I'm going to join,
Hmm.
and made that decision for myself and told my recruiter
Yeah.
in July.
Oh, okay. I just.
Now I started losing the weight and doing like
Yeah.
things, but not like officially
Hmm.
things for it back in May. Nope. Yeah, back in
I
like
think, yeah, it had to
end
have been
of
at least May
May.
because I remember it was around that time where we started talking about the fact that you were at least wanting to
Mm-hmm.
join the Air Force.
So about
And
the end of May is when I
yeah, because I
started
remember
talking
on
to you
my
guys about.
birthday, we were talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Up at when we were camping and such.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's crazy. And I mean, it's one of those things where, like, it feels especially weird because you're going to be the first of us off really doing something like that. I'll
Yeah.
be
Who would have
second,
thought?
theoretically.
Who would have
Um,
thought?
who would have
Like
thought? Yeah.
truthfully, like I would not have thought out of all
Hmm.
of us, I would be the first one to like.
Hmm.
I'm not saying like have my life together or anything like
You're
that.
just already in that
Just
next
saying like
stage
to
of life
have
where it's
like
like,
that
yeah,
like the job I'm
yeah.
hopefully going to have for many
Hmm.
years.
The first step in your quote unquote career, right? Like what
Mm-hmm.
you'll be doing. And,
Yeah.
I mean, if,
Truthfully, I thought you and Josh would be first.
I mean, if things had turned out differently, Cody probably would have been first of us because I think he was just wanting to do some tech school, if I recall, do some
Yeah,
electrical
Cody
engineering
was
work.
gonna do a trade school.
Yeah, which I think he would have been out of there by now.
Oh, he would have been out of there within a year,
Yeah.
making like 17 an hour after that. Trade schools are amazing.
Yeah. He would have making some pretty good money actually.
Mm-hmm.
With all of that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy that you'll be out of here first, and then theoretically, I should be out second unless I do end up doing fifth year. But I'm only like 25% on that.
Well, to
Um,
turn a question on you,
yeah, sure, go ahead. It ain't
what
against the
are
rules.
you going to do when you graduate? What is like? Do you have like?
Hmm.
I'm sure you're gonna be asked this a whole lot next term.
For sure, and I'll be asking that a lot this next term as well.
I'm sure. Hopefully, you are.
Yeah.
What's your goals slash
Hmm.
plan?
Yeah. My goal, what I'd like to do, is I'd like to be involved in some capacity creating programs and um, just essentially like what are we gonna do for camps or just creating programs for younger people to go
Mm-hmm.
through. They can be character building programs. They can be just a fun like a what games and or activities would be fun and beneficial to them. Like I'd love to work on that. Like from the perspective of psychology, um, go asking questions like, okay, so let's say we're trying to teach these kids, yes, we're going to have fun things like playing sports or crafts and things like that, but we're also wanting them to leave with maybe a boost because like every camp has this like underline what they're wanting the kids to get
You
out of
want
it.
the kids to be not. I don't want to say. I am reserved on the term better.
Yeah.
You want the kids to know more.
Hmm. To get something
Which.
out of the experience beyond
Mm-hmm.
I played,
Yeah.
I made, yeah, I did whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a boost in confidence, self-worth. It can be a buildup of
Quality of
just
life.
quality of
Yeah.
life. Yeah. And that's the real challenge of how do you make something fun, right? And like enjoyable, like a fun program or camp while also making it worthwhile beyond it just being fun. I mean, something being fun is worthwhile in and of itself, but in the modern age we live in, you can have fun just playing video games. I mean, it's a different kind of fun, but you know, what making it worthwhile, more worthwhile than just having been home playing Overwatch or something or Minecraft. If kids will still be playing Minecraft by the time I am off doing that stuff, you know. I mean, Minecraft's pretty timeless. I imagine they will, but but yeah. I mean, that's the goal is to be involved in some way in like camp director style sort of job or program
Okay.
director or yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
Now is that like immediately out of graduation, or are you gonna wanna?
It depends. I mean, I think I said when we were hanging out the other day, it's possible that like either I'll just be working like with an organization like YMCA or other sort of programs that work with young like organizations rather, and then they'd be like, "Hey, we want this many winter programs available," or um, things like that. Because like YMCA will have their like broader like, and they already have people for this, but hopefully they'd still be hiring for it, right? But
Yeah.
the idea of like, okay, maybe at this local YMCA, we need programs like this for the community, or you know what I mean, like making those. Like I think even the hub probably has people. They're probably just management, I imagine. They're probably not like people specifically for that job, but people who ask what events or programs can we have at the hub that would be beneficial for
Oh,
whoever's coming.
yeah.
Because doesn't the
Uh,
hub, or didn't the hub, I mean, COVID's kind of weird, but didn't the hub have like programs for young people there, similar to like what a YMCA would do?
mhm.
Yeah. So there's somebody who goes, what programs do we want to have to host, and what would be good? Um, it's yeah, something involved in that. When I first get started, I probably won't be like immediately like a camp director. At most, maybe I'd be working on with alongside a camp director, or a
Yeah.
weird example is like we went to Beulah Bible Camp, and they definitely don't pay enough that you could live, just purely off of it. But there are bigger camps out there that are similar in components. You
Think
know,
more like Ignition, Matt.
Ignition is a good example. Actually, Ignition's a really good example. You'll have people
Mhm.
who are like in charge of the event, right? They're the directors. But then you have other people that are also really important and get paid a
You have
good amount
people
to
in
be there.
charge of the event, and then you have people who are in charge of the events.
Yeah. Or yeah, you'll like say you are the person in charge of all of the lessons that are being learned. Like find people to teach these lessons, right? Um, and you're in charge of finding those people and deciding what that sort of thing. You're in
Yeah.
charge of the finding what fun activities to be done, be it the 1 year where it was like minute to win it games, or
Hmm.
you're planning that.
Yeah.
And depending on how big the organization you're working for is, or how much they're willing to pay you to do it, you can make a good amount doing that. I'm probably not going to make a lot of money when I first graduate. I'll probably My thought is that I might just do like improv lessons on the side, depending on where I live, because I can get paid a little bit if I teach theater people how to do that.
Hmm.
Um, oh, Andrew got moved over to another thing. This happens sometimes. There,
Alien
there
fan.
you are. Yeah. No worries. Um, but yeah, that long-winded way of saying that's generally the idea. It's very vague. It's not like Will or
Josh. I
Josh.
don't
Yeah,
actually. I don't know Josh's. At least it's not like Will's. I don't
yeah.
think.
Where Will's
Um.
gonna be working specifically with propulsion
Yeah.
rockets, more than likely. He might do other things tangential to it, but like with a psych major, you're looking at more like there's a lot of businesses and a lot of organizations that are looking for people with even a bachelor's in psych to do things like HR, um,
Mhm.
or yeah,
Team
team
building.
building, yeah, that kind of stuff. Like if the company has a lot of money, they'll get someone with more than a bachelor's, but most companies are really, for the most part, just looking for someone who can very basically read a book on team building exercises and do that for them, have a
Yeah.
bit of a knowledge. Um,
So I asked because I know that probably a couple months ago. I know COVID's a bit weird with this. You
mm,
thought about um traveling for a little bit before all of that. I didn't know if
mhm.
that was still.
I am still really wanting to do that. I want to
Yeah, I didn't know if that
travel.
was still like a plan or if that
It
was
is. I
kind
am
of like
wanting. Mhm.
a
Yeah.
pass thing you wanted.
It's one of those things when I think about it, I'm like, is this just like a thing that I want to do, but I won't end up doing?
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping, like, maybe I got to undersell it a bit more. Maybe they say not a year of travel, but like a month or two of travel.
Make
Which,
like a road trip. Like make
yeah, that's what
a
I
map.
think it's gonna be. Is I'll map out like, oh, I know someone here. Call them up and be like, hey, would you be okay with me like spending a night there,
Hmm.
um, to catch up and to just show me around even, and then um, like map that out, like where I could go in the United
Yeah.
States in particular.
Yeah. Not trying to go overseas for a period of time.
Hmm. But and kind of where the wind takes me at that point. Like maybe I'll get hit with like, you know what, I want to travel longer or do this or that. But
Mm-hmm.
like we live in an age where like a road trip is not the hardest thing, especially if you know people that you could crash at their place for like a night.
Well, you remember what we did like 2 weeks ago?
When you just
Probably more like a month ago now, where we just drove up and picked up
Mhm.
Josh from his apartment and drove him back for
Yeah,
Thanksgiving
and
at like
so
10 a.m. at night.
yeah, and so I don't think that's hard to do. There's lots of places I want to visit, like Kegel Mountain, like where my ancestors
Yeah.
lived. There are places I want to go and see, and of course, like family members, they'd probably let me stay more than just a night if I asked nicely. But
And Finns
um,
will probably let you do as well.
yeah, friends probably will too. Yeah, I would only ever ask for a night out of
Yeah.
most of my friends,
Um,
but yeah, I mean
I
that's
think,
the general idea.
yeah. I think like speaking of road trips, and
Mm-hmm.
this might lead into a new segment. Who knows?
Oh, for sure.
Um, Driving 10 hours
Mm-hmm.
one way to go somewhere and 10 hours back has definitely made me realize how it feels weird to say this, how much closer everything is.
Yes,
It's like
things
growing
are.
up in
Mhm.
Southern Illinois, you heard like Nashville. It's like, oh yeah, that has to be like 6 hours away, or like you have to drive a day to get there.
Yeah.
It's only like 4 hours from Marion.
Yeah.
Like you go up and you hear all these things, and you're like, oh, that would be so nice to visit one day, but it's so far, and you do it, and you're like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
It's only been like four. What?
I mean, and that's considering even like, you know, most of the reason we're able to do that is from infrastructure that was made a while ago. And I mean, just imagine the infrastructure we could have in a few years of just, better trains, planes, and automobiles, right?
Ah, you took. I was
Yep.
just about to say that.
Right. Like as those improve, um,
Hmm.
the infrastructures around them as well. Like the everything is like even planes, like even traveling across the seas. Like me and John went to Spain for a senior trip, and I mean it was a long plane ride, but it was like boom, you're there. It's like you take a
Yeah.
nap, watch a movie or two, and boom, you're there. Um, and it's wild how close everything is now.
Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Oh, no worries at all. But yeah, I hope everyone who is listening is enjoying the conversation, and I think a very chill one. Um, and I'm loving hearing my friend Andrew just talking about like the zero, like trust, like the whole parkour conversation is probably still going to be my favorite part. What we've talked about, but there's still more to talk about, I'm sure. But that was just really awesome. Uh, and I don't have someone planned for next week yet, but I should get on that. But also, in the coming days, I will be interviewing my family, my immediate family. So if I,
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So if I don't have someone planned for next Monday, that's sort of the thought. Is I'll interview my brother, my mom, and my dad, and not upload them immediately, but hold on to those recordings for a week when, or better yet, just continue recording and upload the family ones first, but have a back catalog of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because that's the dream. Because right now I've been doing it week to week. I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
have at least like 2 to 3 on a backlog. So if I do need like a break or can't do it one week, I can still have
Yeah.
something I can upload. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we were talking about I just
Traveling. How
traveling,
close things
how
were.
close everything is,
Which
and
is weird to say.
that goes back since to what we were talking about earlier. It's amazing how this connects. How sometimes that gap feels longer than it is
Mm-hmm.
to jump across, but really it's not that far.
Yeah.
And with technology now, I mean the metaphorical distance between places, like communicating, and even with Google Earth, see, like the metaphorical distance is non-existent at this
Yeah.
point.
I mean, you're about 10 and a half, about 10 hours away from me right now.
Yeah, and we're talking.
And we're talking like we're sitting across the table from each other.
Exactly. And of course it is not the same yet. I mean, one day maybe it will be pretty much the
Yeah.
same. But I mean, it's amazing that we're able to do this.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah,
20 years ago, this would have been.
impossible.
I don't want to say
Well,
possible because 20
phones
years
we could
ago
have
was
called.
still 2000.
Yeah, we could have called each other or
Still
um,
would have been very
had
difficult.
much worse streaming quality to talk to each other online, but
Yeah.
could have done. Um,
Um.
but yeah, I mean, by the time, I mean, knock on wood, by the time we're out of this world, um, will I mean, the technology will be straight out of Star Wars, probably, like just holograms and chairs, like hello. Um,
Yeah, it's
put
insane.
on a VR headset and you're in the room.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Ooh. Like
To
imagine if
think
there was
about
a headset that could,
where's it going?
yeah, imagine if there's a headset that could essentially put you in a dream state, but you're in a VR situation.
Kind of like Ready Player One almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever I think about like future
Mm,
technology, my mind don't know why always goes
yeah.
to Ready Player One of like you put on a headset, um,
And you're just in this
you're
world.
just kind of there because like the technology you saw some of them using
Hmm.
like the treadmills to walk to where you're not actually walking
Yeah,
to where like you're just on a treadmill exists.
yeah. And
So it's like
we're
we're
not
obviously
super
we're still
far.
pretty far off, but like a lot of the technological ideas you saw in it, we have in pretty good VR headsets
Hmm.
with solid motion tracking.
Yeah,
We have things to hook up to them to where you can walk without actually like walking around the room or sit without sitting in a chair.
yeah. And that's like I think closer than even what I'm thinking about. Like the thing I'm considering is like our dreams, like when we're asleep, is a altered reality. It's a different
Gotcha,
reality, right?
gotcha,
Like I'm
gotcha.
even, but
Yeah,
like what you're talking about, like that stuff's real close. Like just, I mean,
I could see that within the
expensive.
next decade,
Like the stuff you were talking about.
probably.
Yeah, yeah, I
Maybe
think
not
so.
like a whole world of like Ready Player One,
Yeah,
where like everybody has access to everything. If you can have access to this,
yeah. But
nothing like that grand,
the
but like that.
technology will be there, and there will be a lot of things made. That's like the treadmill, the feeling like maybe you're climbing. I don't know, like stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of that stuff is
Hmm.
already here.
But what could be even crazier, and I don't know if we'd get this in our lifetime, maybe, but like when you are asleep and in a dream state, like your body paralyzes itself for one thing, so it doesn't move
Usually,
around because usually, if you don't, then see a physician about that because you should. There are times where like if you're in a half like in REM almost but not quite and you'll kick. That's a thing that happens sometimes.
I was thinking more like sleepwalking.
Oh, I actually don't know. Not that's a good question.
I don't know if like
Well, I know what I'll
I don't
be
know either.
doing with whenever I am back in an academic mindset. I'll look up sleepwalking. But I do know that like for the most part, the body gets paralyzed essentially, and then you're just because evolutionarily speaking, not really beneficial for you to be literally moving around while you about what you're dreaming in the
Hmm.
middle of a forest. um, you know, and but imagine if you could create a device that essentially, I mean, it sounds scary because it paralyzes your body, but then you'd be in this virtual world.
Basically, manifest your dreams into virtual reality.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Like,
Hmm. I mean,
would
obviously,
it
at that point, you'd
store?
have more lucidity, but then have the ability to like visit other people.
Ooh, that would be a bit weird. But like, I don't know if that would ever be possible
I don't know.
unless they make it to where like it stores your dreams and
I
then you can like
I don't know, man.
invite. I don't know. That would be so
I don't know, man.
weird.
It
That'd
doesn't
be
even have to be
interesting to look
actual
at.
REM sleep. I'm just saying, like the idea of a device that kind of knocks you out
Yeah.
and stimulates your brain, stimulates yourself to consciousness, but in a virtual headset sort of space. Because at that point, you could begin just by messing with the brain while it's paralyzed, feel like you're running or jumping. I mean, it'd be a bit different because even when you're in a dream, it's a bit off.
I mean, you got to think
But
about the medical implications. Imagine what we could do for people who are bedbound,
yeah,
bedridden, people who have lost
mm-hmm.
both their legs and used to be a marathon runner. I mean,
You could
you
improve.
basically can give people back
Yeah.
some function of their quality of life back.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm even like. Just if you gave people the innate ability to just like have very lucid dreams, like with technology and like very very lucid, like oof, that'd be great because you could still get good rest. But then people might
Hmm.
be asleep even more. Well, some people are asleep a lot more than should do, but I think most people are actually probably getting less sleep than they should. But
Probably.
yeah, but it would make people want to sleep more probably. You know, if I could fall asleep and like go on a crazy adventure, that'd be amazing. It's like
But
yes,
then
please.
you have that of people who are doing it to escape
Yeah.
reality, but not just to escape for like a quick
Mm-hmm.
escape. They're in it for
Yeah.
hours at a time, and then
And then you
they
get
wake
into the
up.
conversation of at what point does one thing reality over another? You get into the Matrix questions, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or you also get into health issues if you're in it for
hmm?
5 hours without water or food or anything,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
do that
When I
every
talk about a
day.
device that paralyzes your body, the question would be, what if it messes up and you just stay paralyzed?
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're just
it would
in
not
the
be good.
lucid state
I mean,
until, yeah.
shoot, it happens to us naturally, even like people. I mean, not
Mm-hmm.
to a degree where they're paralyzed forever,
Comas,
but
though.
like, I mean, comas for sure. But like, I'm even talking like just sleeping, like sleep paralysis. That's what it is. Is you begin
Yeah.
to become conscious, but your body is still in that like locked state, and it's
Yeah.
freaky. I've experienced it only like once or twice, and the only reason I haven't freaked out when it happens is because I know of it. And so when I'm in,
I
like, I
don't
literally had one somewhat recently where I was like, oh, this is what's happening. Cool. But yeah, you were saying you haven't
I
really.
don't know. Yeah, I think it would obviously stick out.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever woken up and then been like, I can't move.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling. Like the one I had most recently is I was like sleeping on my back. I think my knees were up, like my knees were like curled up. Um and I could just tell that I was awake but like couldn't move. And I remember like attempting like trying to force my fingers to open and close. And it was like rigor mortis or like when your hands are really really asleep but like they actually can't move very well.
Hmm.
But at that point I was just sort of like I realized I was in sleep paralysis because I know, people who don't know about it really freak out when that happens.
Yeah, and that can be even more dangerous.
Yeah, it can be.
I can imagine.
Well, because part of it too is you feel like you're not breathing, or you can end up focusing on like, ooh, I feel like there's a weight on my chest. But it's just because when you're in that state, your breath is not as full as when you're like awake and conscious. It's very soft, and
Hmm.
you're right. But no, I just ended up going, oh, okay, and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna try to open and close my hands, and by beginning to slowly focus on my hands and moving them, maybe I'll eventually,
Motorly
yeah,
functions.
I'll eventually wake up. And plus, it gives me something to focus on in this experience. But then I started doing it, and I told my dad the morning after. I was like, I reached a point where it's like, you know what? I actually kind of want to just stay asleep, or like see if I can't just knock out. I kind of went like, I actually don't want to wake up. Um, but then I did, and I was like, maybe if it happens again, I'll just sit there and be like, let's experience this. Let's take it in. Um, and I still did, but like I said, it was very much like rigor mortis in the hands, almost like how stiff it felt. Um,
Yeah.
and like I
Huh.
would try to move it, and it felt like they would move for a second, but then I'd realize no, they actually didn't move. It's wild.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
Goodness.
yeah. And it is I think scary even if you kind of know about it, but it's just being assured that like, oh, this is what's happening. I'm not dying, and if this is a state that, and one, this never had, like people don't just fall, like unless there's other medical things going on, you are not just in sleep paralysis. Most comas, when induced, you're like truly knocked out. Like you're not
Yeah.
even conscious. But you should, most people, and I mean most, should not be afraid of like, I'm awake but I'm not forever. Like that's not gonna happen to you. um so just relax and maybe try to move your toes or your hands, and you'll eventually wake up. Um, or enjoy it. I think I've heard before that people will sometimes just say, "Oh, hello, sleep paralysis demon,"
Yeah.
And that was something I was, in hindsight, going, "Ooh, I wonder if I had really freaked out if I would have seen a sleep paralysis demon." Because it's the idea that like you're still in sort of a REM state, E2,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why people. I'm gonna get on a whole tangent. I don't know if this is interesting to you, but like,
I find it very interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like the weight on the chest I was describing, because of the loss of or the lack of breathing, is often manifested as like something sitting on your chest. Like that's what people will see. But it's because their mind is still in that dream state and they're like, ooh, I feel this weight on my chest. What is it? And your brain goes, oh, it must be this.
Mm-hmm.
And that, imagine that, like, and usually it's not a pleasant looking thing. It'll be like a creepy old woman or just a creepy looking thing in general. Thus, the memes about sleep paralysis demons, um, because they can be scary.
Yeah.
Um, I've never seen one, and I don't think I will, just because the one time where I seriously had it, which was somewhat recently, and the one time I think I've had it, I stayed pretty calm during the experience, so I don't think I'll have one. Or if I do, I'll be able to kind of have a moment of like, oh, it's just what it is. It is what it is. Um,
Sometimes it be like that.
Sometimes it do be like that, but back to more, I guess, pertinent conversation. That was a tangent and a half. But I mean, do you have? I mean, I know you're going to be traveling around more than likely. I think Italy was something you had said is a
I mean,
possibility.
of
Are there
course, I
any?
would like to
Mhm.
go, but it's just kind of wherever they send me.
Yeah.
You know.
Are you? I mean, are you? I mean, beyond obviously having a job and having to go there, it's kind of exciting to be like, "Ooh, I'm going to go somewhere." Like I've never probably been before. That's got to be kind of exciting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
Um.
it's not like you'll have free time out the wazoo, but like you'll need to get food or
Well, there'll be food on
yeah,
bases.
on
We'll
base,
have,
yeah.
but yeah,
But won't
I'll
aren't you
be able.
allowed sometimes to like get food elsewhere or
Yeah, I'll be like so. Whenever I'm out of basic and stuff,
mm-hmm.
I will have. I was not like I'm gonna be working 24/7. I'll have shifts. I'll have
Yeah.
a schedule, and I may work. You know, Obviously, honestly, I don't even fully know, but I may work. Oh, you're working 3 days this week,
Yeah.
and I'll have
Some days off and then you
some
can
days off to go do go visit somewhere or go do this.
you'll probably make friends where you go, right?
Yeah,
Fellow
have
people
friends on the
working there
base.
and
Yeah,
you'll
100%.
go off doing things, go to the bars maybe or go to an arcade or play D&D. Who knows what you'll do with that time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Who honestly, but I will have time off to
Yeah.
explore and
Mhm.
do things like that. Yeah.
For sure. That's exciting. Um, I mean, I'm sure eventually you'll be like, well, I've been in Italy for a year and a bit, seen about, seen about everything that you know what I mean. Like you may reach a point where it's like Italy's Italy,
I don't know. Italy's a pretty big
and
place.
it's pretty awesome too. So,
I can imagine.
uh,
But any state like that,
yeah,
um, because
because
I could go, any base, any Air Force base or a joint base.
yeah, so I know I'll be road tripping hopefully, and that's the goal. Like after I graduate, but you'll be really out there. You'll be abroad more than likely, at least at some point
Maybe at least, yeah, probably at some point in
in your Air Force career.
my Air Force career, I will hopefully be abroad.
Yeah, it would be feel kind of like ugh if you weren't at some point, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it'd just be. I'm excited. I'm always excited to see where the journey
mm,
goes. And I don't think out of the friend group, I think you're more like this than me.
yeah,
But definitely out of my family, um, I should say close friends, you're more like this than me.
yeah,
Um, I'm really good at taking things in stride,
mm-hmm.
thanks to parkour. If we're gonna loop that back,
Back, yeah,
uh,
sure.
I'm really good at just taking things in stride, taking things as they come at me, and being like, "Well, pitter patter, let's get it."
Yeah,
Let's see how it unfolds, and well, take it one step at a time and go from there. I don't need to have everything
Planned out.
thrown down in a solidified plan and be like, I'm gonna do A, B, C, and D, and if B and C don't work out, what am I gonna do? It's like, great, I'll go over C and B, uh, C and D, and come back to them and scrap them.
Yeah, that's
But I do think
yeah.
you're more like that than I am.
Well,
Uh,
well, thank you. Yeah, I think improv helps a lot with that, but I think
yeah.
confidence in general, like the ability to be like, you know what, if the plan falls apart, that's okay.
Hmm.
Um, we'll like I love the pitter patter. That's such a good way to put it. It's like pitter patter.
It's from one of my favorite shows. A show I've been really enjoying lately
What show is that?
called Letterkenny.
Letter Kenny. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. Think of it kind of like it's Canadian.
Gotcha.
Think of it kind of like a mix between Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Rec, um, and a little bit of The Office, but kind of like small town country hick vibes
Yeah, for sure.
and
So
Canadian.
kind of Marion but Canadian.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Gotcha.
It's super funny. It does have some
I
language
mean, yeah,
warning.
sure.
Um, it does have some language. It doesn't show anything, but what they talk about, they do a great job of painting a picture.
For sure.
Uh, so if you do have some
Time on my
sensitivity
hands.
to that
Or yeah.
or issues
Sensitivity to
with
certain
that,
imagery,
yeah, fair warning. But I
yeah.
do
For sure.
highly recommend it. It's super funny. It's also each episode's like 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
Um, and there's only like 10 or 12 in a season, but there's 9 seasons. So if you do like it, you're not gonna binge it all in one day and be like, well, now what? You
Mm.
know,
Yeah.
there's it's a solid chunk. They're still coming out with um new seasons, and new seasons dropping Christmas Day.
For sure.
So I highly recommend it. It's super funny. But yeah, pitter patters, like, come on, let's go
That's good.
pitter patter. Let's get
Pitter
at it.
patter. That's
Yep,
good.
I like it a
Well,
lot.
shoot. Well, now I feel like I get into a meta conversation, like at least in some part of the show, and we might come to an end here soon because I know you want to go to the beach and we've
I mean,
hit
I'm
about.
fine to keep talking. I've seen it. We can keep talking.
You've seen it, okay? In which case, there is
Yeah.
at least one more thing I want to talk about, and I think that'll put us to where we are. But I did want to say real quick, I am torn between either calling this episode Zero Doubts or Pitter Patter. What was the rest of that phrase? Get
Pitter
at her.
patter, let's get at it.
Let's get at her. Yeah. I feel like Zero Doubts maybe because the other one's a reference to a show, which while good, that might be better if I ever do either a Bloomin' reviews of that show or you know
Let me know if you do. I'll
yeah
happily join for that.
yeah which I'm wanting to record. I don't know if I have the time in the midst of interviewing my parents and all this other Christmas
Yeah.
stuff. Well, I am wondering if I it might not be fun to watch some sort of Christmas film and review that. That might be fun.
Die Hard. We can get a whole conversation. We probably shouldn't bring that up with just a little bit of time left. Um,
No, I mean, well, I've never seen Die Hard, so that might actually be a really good one to do if we do it, because again, it's the 21st. We're kind of right on the cusp of the holiday season. I'll be real
Christmas
busy.
movie doesn't have to be done right at Christmas.
That is fair.
Well,
That is really
before
fair.
Christmas.
Yeah,
Now, why it helps,
it does
could
help.
always be done sooner. It could always be done just a little
Yeah,
later.
yeah. We'll definitely I'll keep that in mind in my calendar, and you'll know if there's going to be time to do that sooner than later. I think.
Awesome.
But the last thing I want to talk about was the thing I think we kind of were like, oh, we can talk about this during this,
Yeah.
and it's sort of multifaceted. I think we can talk about it on whatever level you want to, but um, you have at certain points in your time, and we've talked about this. I think we have some similarities in this, but have spread yourself out a bit, like trying to fill many roles and whole like groups, and particularly I think you were saying in middle school and high school.
Freshman year
Freshman year
of
of
high
high school
school.
was in particular, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Because middle school it was easy.
yeah, to run around and hang out with different groups of
Middle
friends
school
and
there wasn't like a whole lot of like
mhm.
middle school at least. there wasn't a whole lot of like cliques really.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, kind of in this awkward place.
Yeah,
None of us really know what we're doing or where we're going,
for sure.
truthfully. And once high school hit, uh freshman year I tried to keep everything the same.
Yeah.
Of like junior high, like trying to, keep up all those people who I was trying to hang out with,
Mhm.
and yeah, spread myself way too thin.
Yeah. And
Freshman year.
I think a more important point is you are an extrovert. Um,
I am.
yeah, yeah. And I think that is actually more important than anything else because I'm an extrovert too, and I think when you are, you end up with your hand in a bunch of different friend group pots and a bunch
You
of
end up
different group
wanting
pots.
to do more, but I don't think for me it was because I was an extrovert.
Why do you think you were off doing that? What were the, if you don't mind talking about it, what were the underlying reasons?
I enjoy people. I enjoy conversation a lot, like you do.
Yeah,
Um, I enjoy people. I enjoy conversation.
for sure.
And freshman year, I was naive,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously some of it wasn't naivety. I don't know. I did truthfully enjoy some of the people who I was trying to be friends with, and I think I wanted to keep that social aspect. Um, I wanted to keep that
The social people,
the
the people you
social
had,
aspect. Yeah.
you wanted to hold on to those and not lose them. And
Um.
yeah,
So yeah, freshman year is just
rough because of
I
that.
tried to keep it. I failed two classes, both were math. Unsurprisingly,
Yeah,
um, just because I was spread out way too thin. I had before you can give to other people, you got to make sure you can still give.
yeah,
And I
mm.
was running on drips freshman year
Yeah,
left of me. So I was going too many places, doing too many different things.
yeah,
Um, and it was not, I mean, that was worst year of high school, worst year of any school years. And I've had some rough times in school
mm-hmm.
was, uh, was freshman year. As we've talked about, that summer leading up into sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of clicked with me at Beulah, and just in the summer of just like I did not like that at all. Nope.
Nope,
Uh,
was not good.
Sophomore year, the entirety of sophomore year was like a systematic
Mm.
cutting, and not even like cutting people out and never talking to them again. It was like I'm gonna do me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be me and do what I want to do and how I want to do it. And if you don't like that, bye.
bye. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not gonna disown you,
or
but I'm
anything.
not
Yeah,
gonna put
the effort in.
effort in to
Yeah,
try to be your friend. If I see you in the hallway or in class, I'll talk, I'll say hi. It won't be
yeah,
awkward. It won't be like a bad breakup.
yeah,
It'll just be like, listen, I want to do me. I need to do more for myself and
yeah.
keep more of myself in. And if you're fine with that, awesome. If you're not, I'm not gonna change for you.
For sure.
I'm not gonna try to be something that I'm not. So I'm not
Mm,
gonna be something that you want me to be.
for sure.
And it was a weird decision. Like when I look at it now, for a sophomore to make.
Yeah, it seems like a very
Uh,
mature decision to make.
it was. It felt like looking at it now. I'm like, whoa.
That was a choice.
Uh, I think it's definitely helped. Who I am today, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, way too thin. I'm sure a lot of people do that in high school, is they try to do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing excessive amounts that I was putting effort in places where effort didn't need to be put in because like people were fine with me.
Yeah.
And it showed, when I started, doing that, they're like, yeah, we don't care. And it definitely showed if people who are like, oh well, no, then it's like, okay,
All right.
goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that like me, Josh, Will, John, like we could be those people that were like, oh no, we're chill with how you are.
Yeah, you're like, we've enjoyed how you are, so hey.
Hey, yeah.
Shema Woodson was like
Shamar
that.
Woodson, yeah.
Uh, just people like that who like were in those different groups
Yeah.
who were like, yeah, I've been fine with it.
Yeah, bring it on. Yeah.
Um, Shane Vaughn,
Yeah.
Kane,
Kane,
Cody. Because I
Cody.
wasn't
Yeah.
like big. I wasn't big with Cody junior high. Like I know he sat like at like the table.
Mm-hmm.
But, like Gage Johnson, Jake Griffin, like people like that. They weren't super fine with it, but we were still acquaintances throughout high school.
And they're still
We
pretty rad
still
people. They're
they are
pretty
they're
good people,
great
yeah. They're
people.
great people, yeah.
They're wonderful people. They were in high school. I don't know now. I don't know what
Yeah, I
else.
guess if they're arrested for any crimes, we disavow any crimes they've committed. But
Well, it depends upon the crime, truthfully.
fair enough.
um, we still talked in high school. We still kind of hung
Mhm.
out and saw each other, but I wasn't. I was done putting in effort to actively try to
Yeah,
be with
but
them.
that's how you find out who your lifetime friends are gonna be and who your
So you find
acquaintances
out
are
who
gonna
your
be.
family is.
There you go.
Like I consider you, Josh, Will, Nina, uh, you guys, and John, you guys are my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a saying, uh, blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Ooh, that is a
Um,
good saying.
yeah, it's actually the full saying of, that saying, blood's thicker than water.
It's blood of the covenant is thicker
Blood of the
than
covenant is thicker than the water of the
thicker
womb,
than the water of the womb. Wow.
which means the friendships you forge throughout your life, school, hard times, whatever,
Yeah.
those are gonna have more meaningful impact and experiences than like, oh yeah, you're his brother. You
You're my
should like
cousin.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I
Yeah.
don't. I like these people more.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I don't hate you.
Yeah. And I love you as
Some
family,
people might,
but yeah.
but some
Mm-hmm.
families just have that
There's a difference
disconnect.
between your chosen family, the people you
And
choose to be around, and your family.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a power. Yeah, you're right. That's a powerful saying. Is you guys are my family.
Yeah.
I care for you and love you guys deeply like
Mhm.
family. Emily Wallace is in there.
Yeah.
Like all
Yeah. I'm sure there are
uh,
people who may go unnamed, but that are definitely nonetheless
yeah,
part of
of
that. Yeah.
course. That like you are my family. I don't want
Hmm. And
anything, bad anything. I want the best for you. I want you guys to strive to, everything work out for you in your favor.
yeah.
Um,
And I shared the same sentiment, I think, with you guys. And everyone shows it differently, and you've definitely shown it in your ability to say, "Hey, let's go do this," and your confidence in to being the first one to stride across the gap and be like, "Hey, I got you," and that's how you show it, and I think that's awesome. Um, and man, now I'm all happy and like, yeah, you're a good friend, and I think that's a and family, and I think family is a good word for it, because I was like, oh,
100%.
really close friends, but that is the difference between family and acquaintances. Family are people who see who you are, and family aren't afraid to criticize time to time if they're like, actually, don't do that, or
Check yourself.
check
Check
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, but they accept you as who you are, and then acquaintances are more like people you can chat with and uh,
Go have coffee
go
with
have
one
coffee
morning.
with, and
Catch up.
yeah, or
Yeah.
maybe if you're at like a gathering or a group of friends, and
Mm-hmm.
you can party with,
Socialize and hang
socialize with,
out
yeah,
and
yeah,
chill
but
with,
they
vibe.
they aren't your family.
Family, he's a little weird, but he's got the right idea.
Exactly, yeah.
Uh, yeah.
So
Um,
I think that's a really good description, and sort of going back to the conversation about kind of being spread out with a mix of just liking people and stuff. I think that's a big part of growing up. I've realized that I didn't maybe think about as much is that growing up, you're like, you hear your parents and people say, oh, I don't remember my friends from like junior high or high school or whatever,
yeah.
and I think I'm blessed, and I think we're blessed to where like
I think
Our
we
high school
will
friends, yeah, I think we'll hang on to it. I mean, we've already hanged on it to for this long, and
throughout college, which
yeah.
is a milestone in and of itself.
And yes, it is not the same as when we saw each other every day in school, and
Yeah,
it is not.
it's
It's
more.
yeah,
It feels more memorable now, though.
more livable,
Memorable.
memorable. I see.
Yep.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
moments we spend together are bigger moments usually, and us getting
More
together for like
cherished. And,
more
yeah.
cherished. Yeah, and I think
And
that's the difference. Mm-hmm.
I agree, and I think as we go off to start of our careers, life outside of college,
Yeah,
the moments to we hang out to be more memorable will be more memorable. Weddings,
yeah,
sadly funerals,
yeah, for sure.
uh,
Um,
times we'll remember more be big life events. We might still, depending upon where we all end up, meet for like a weekend or something, or
yeah,
like
and even those
like
moments will be memorable. It's like
of
weekend with the
course,
boys,
yeah,
we're getting together.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, or if we'll cherish more the times we have, and I think that's a big part of growing up is the people end up more spread out, so you feel
Hmm.
like you're being moved a bit thinner. But I think the great aspect of it is a it means you have a friend or an acquaintance, a friend, acquaintance, or family all over the world or all
You have a
over.
reason to go visit places now.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to go visit Montana, but what would I do? Is like, Will's in Montana. Let's go to Montana and
Yeah,
try to
exactly.
catch up with him.
Sure. Or more than likely, it's hey, Will lives in Montana. I have an excuse to visit Montana, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
And
and
don't think I'm gonna stop not bugging you guys to try to get together, even if it's just online to do something or something of the
yeah.
sort.
Well,
You will
that's
still
yeah,
see my name popping up.
good. No, please do.
Um,
And I think that's the beautiful thing because like, yes, when you grow up, when one becomes an adult and has a career and has to move from where they grew up, or you doesn't have to, but often you end up moving away from where you grew up. Um, there's this element of like, yes, it is no longer the situation where a lot of my closest friends or a lot of my family, like parents, literal family, and then like family, are
mhm.
people I see every day.
A 5-minute drive.
Yeah. Or yeah, they're not nearly as close as they used to be, but I know how I emotionally process things. They are still emotionally and can be, especially with the technology we have, that close.
Hmm.
Um, maybe they're busy and they can't take a phone call or be on Discord or whatever it is, but like at least in a literal sense, they are like a phone call or a message or whatever away. Um, like my dad recently called an old high school buddy because he was talking about how he saw it was his birthday on Facebook, and I went, "Hey, you should call him. You should talk to him," and he did, and it was a good time. Um, and I think about stuff like that, like with the technology we have, interacting with people you were family with or friends with is much more attainable.
Yeah,
And so I
100%.
know that our relationships will change. We'll grow up. We won't have like Marion as a centerpiece as much in the future to hang
Now we
out.
just get to find a new place.
But we just get to find new places and new reasons, and we'll come up with traditions too. I'm sure. Like, who knows? Maybe we still do New Year's together,
Yep.
or
Hey, I
um,
get 30 days a year off.
mhm.
Paid,
or
I think.
July 4th still together, or whatever
Yeah.
it is. We'll
Man, can you
figure it out.
imagine Jive? Oh boy. Those could get wild.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or even November 1st, because that's an important date for us, and
Hmm.
or just any time where we can go. You know what? Halloween, why not? Let's get to get
Yeah.
like, of
Who
course,
needs an
Christmas and
excuse
Thanksgiving are
to
family
Oh,
getting together,
100%.
but yeah, for sure,
Easter still too in there.
yeah. So, but we'll find reasons to get together,
Oh yeah.
uh, and even if it's not every single other holiday than family holiday, because maybe there are because wherever we go, like you'll make friends in the Air Force and maybe even
Hmm.
family in the Air Force, and we'll make friends and family wherever we go as well. But we'll find reasons to get together or play games together or
Oh yeah.
whatever. Like I'm confident we will do that.
100% agree.
Yeah. um, and that might be a good note, honestly, to end this episode on that wholesome note of
I agree.
yeah. So thank everyone for watching. This
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, and I'm sure I'll have you on with maybe less broad conversation, or maybe just as broad. I don't know. This show is whatever people want to talk about, or if I have a specific theme to talk about, we'll do that. But whatever.
You know me.
Down for whenever. Yeah.
I like talking, especially with you guys.
Yeah.
So
And I also do want to do like bigger skylines with more than just two people at some point in the future as well. I think would be fun to talk about like specific topics or even just to chat in general.
idea, if you
Yeah, go for it.
so inclined, we could always do movie review when I come up again.
Yeah, I mean Blue Moon review. I want to do more of those.
The
And
Blue Moon, thank you.
yeah,
I for the life of me, I could not remember
I've
what
got
it
really
was called.
silly names for each of the shows. They're just thematic.
I like it.
Yeah, I
Oh
like it.
yeah,
No, I like it. It is.
I love it. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah. So I think that'd be a wonderful idea.
You know,
Um,
do you like that Christmas movie you're wanting to do, or
yeah, I think Die
something of
Hard
this
is a good
sort?
choice. I think the Santa Claus or Home Alone could also be
Hmm,
good choices because those are classics as well.
solid movies.
There's a lot of classic Christmas
I will
movies
not
that we
do
could.
Elf. I'm very sorry.
No, that's fine. I don't know how I'd even review Elf. Funny, I know all the lines because I've watched it so many
Yeah,
times.
just Mr. Childa's sixth grade, seventh grade band have just killed that.
We watched
Like,
it
if
so many
people
times, yeah.
really want to watch it,
Like I
I'm
have
not
fond
gonna
memories of it,
protest.
but like it is not
I
on the
have
top of
fond
my
memories,
list
but
of
I've
things to
seen it.
watch.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, listen, if I want to watch Elf, I'll just close my eyes and I'll watch Elf.
Close my
Um,
eyes, go into some sleep paralysis, and watch Elf.
yeah. Uh, it's at a point where it's that memorable. So like I enjoy it and it holds a place in my heart, but if I were to watch it, it'd just be me going, I know this line, I know this line, I know this scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, keep an eye out for more content because I'm finally back on the old horse of making things. There's a Civ 5 video that's out that has some, I think, fun editing. It is an hour and some long, so I understand not. If you're wanting to sit down and listen to something, I'd more recommend a Skyline. But if you're wanting to, I don't know, watch me get mad, the Civ video could be good. um,
Gotta
and then,
go and watch that still.
yeah. And then
It's been so busy.
yesterday, a poem that was sent to me that was recorded from one of the improv people went out, um, which I think was pretty good. And I'm hoping to get more of that. So if you've listened this far, hey, feel free to email me or message me if you know me. Your read poems, or even though they don't have to be poems, they can be short stories or comedy skit, whatever. Like open mic style. That's what that fresh air is all about. So, um, yeah, that's it. That's the show. I feel like I did a bunch of advertising, but thank you, Andrew, for coming on. I'm sure I'll have you on again.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and
If not,
I'll try
in
to
more
be available
skylines, I'm sure I'll also have you in
possible.
Blue Moon reviews and more. If we do another Civ game, which I'm sure we will at some point,
Yeah.
do that as well, or other stuff. Yeah. So bye everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye. Have a Merry Christmas. Bye.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Stay safe, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.